Welcome to Ramad Yom Shir. We are in Shabbos Daf Pidal Amud Aleph. I mean, we're at the very, very bottom of Pegim Amud Beis, and there it says two words, Omar Rove. Yeah, Omar Rove. We are learning about tumah v'taira to do with boats, with ships. Yeah, the shir is for the Tzlocha and Yeshua of Klal Yisrael right now. Yeah, we need Yeshuas, and they're coming through Torah. Basically, as we said yesterday, Adam Kiyomus B'Oil. By the way, we saw yesterday that a person should never stop learning, even at his deathbed. In fact, if a person learns Torah, there are at least three places in Shas where it says that people, Malach HaMavis, couldn't deal with them, couldn't do anything to them because they were learning all the time. David HaMelech in Shabbos, in Matzir Pevov, it says it about Rabbah. And it's just yesterday in Makis, also in Makis, thing that Ches, we said about Rav Chizda also. They were learning so much they couldn't. Malach Mavs did a trick to stop them from learning by making big noise, and then he could kill them. Otherwise, if a person clings to Torah, we're mortal. Omarove. Let's summarize. Yeah, exactly. You put it right. Weiter. Basically, let's go. Let's summarize what we saw yesterday. According to Tanakama, a boat, a sfina, is never tomit. A boat, the mere fact that the boat is something that's supposed to exist and function in the sea is tahor. The sea never gets toma. The yam, the ocean, so too is the sfina, like a house connected to the ground. I don't care if the boat is small, big, made out of wood, made out of cheres, all these things that do make a difference. Otherwise, I don't care. Once it's a boat, there's no tumah yeah, it's not susceptible to tumah. Hanani, on the other hand, says, you know what? Says Hanania, I agree with you that the average run-of-the-mill sfina, meaning a sfina made out of wood and big, a very large sfina made out of wood, like a big ship made out of wood. Most sfinas back then, most ships back then were made out of wood, right? And therefore, it's not makabel tuma. Yeah, you know why? Well, simply because we know that a kli eitz, if you have a receptacle, a wooden receptacle, which the Torah compares to sack, a wooden receptacle that's so big that cannot be carried when it's full. If you fill in a boat, I'm talking big boat, yeah, the real thing. You fill it with oranges or with gold bars, whatever you do. You can't schlep it. No human being can schlep it. Not even animals can schlep it, right? It can only function as sailing in the sea, in the big sea. Therefore, says Hanania, just like any other kli eitz, which is too big to be carried full, it's not metaltel molaverekan, it's tahor. But there are two exceptions to the rule by Hanania, right? Hanania will tell you that if the boat is made out of cheres, if the boat is made out of a material that's not eitz, for example, cheres, and by cheres, something made out of china, made out of, earthenware, of clay, strong clay, the boat is big and strong enough, the clay is strong enough, let's say, there, the rule is not written about that, about molaverekan. Even a very large kli of cheres is mekabel tuma. So a big boat made out of cheres is mekabel tuma, according to Hanania. According to Chachamim, Chachamim say we don't care. Boat is door, finished. We learn it from Pasuk there, Pasuk and Mishlei. He says, no, if a boat is made out of cheres, it doesn't follow the regular rules. He doesn't believe in it, Pasuk and Mishlei. He believes in it, but not in the tomb of a tire, yeah? It's just Divrei Musar. Now, what about the other boat? What about a boat that is the Yarden? It's a smaller boat that can be schlepped by animals, and that's exactly the chiddush we started yesterday and today. Not only the boat that can be schlepped by a regular guy, these guys that have like a small canoe, right? Or a small, dingy, whatever it's called, yeah, chasake, it's called in Hebrew. Yeah, a small one you carry on you carry on your shoulder. Dingy, not dingy, okay, sorry, dingy. And you carry it on you, then it's metaltel malaverekan. Then obviously it's mechabel tuma, according to Hanania. According to Chachamim, no. Hanania, yes, because it's a small kli eitz. A regular kli made out of eitz and it's small, removable. Yeah, a wooden salad bowl. Of course, it's mekabel tuma, right? Hanani is mechadish even more, right? Because we said it's a big chiddush of Hanani. It's a big chiddush. The big chiddush is that even though this boat is not that tiny, the boat can be schlepped into the water only with animals when it's full. If this boat is full of whatever that is, and it's somehow stuck in the sand, only animals can take it to the Yarden, to the river. Still, Hanani considers that as metaltal molavreka. That's a chiddush. That we didn't know. That's a new piece of information. So that's not so hard. Basically, according to Chachamim, we have the rule of Sfina always tahor. That's easy. Hanan says no. Sfina is just a regular kli eitz. If the kli is made out of wood and really big and can't be schlepped when it's full, okay, I follow the rules and it's not mekabel tumah. But if you don't have those rules, then the Sfina will be mekabel tumah. That's just summarizing yesterday. No, any problem? Yeah, right. They're not mekabel tumah because it's a boat. Yes.
Any
yes.
boat or any service.
Of course, the boat, l'chayra. I mean, maybe there's some exception to the rule. Some Yerushalmi. Pshat with Gemara Chachomim always say about his store. Yeah, they don't care about the rules. It's breaking all the rules. The boat. Yeah, l'chayra. Pshat I don't know. Oh, there is an exception already, which I want to tell you. Don't want to make your life a misery, but I'm actually making it easier for later. There is a rule, and we're going to learn today in Daf B'Dalet a lot again about the Zav, Zava, all these people, and we all know that the Zav, Zava, and the Nida, they have something special. They make things Tomeh in one way that others don't make Tomeh. Also Hesed, we saw before, and also sitting down. The mere fact they sit on something, yeah, even if you don't touch it, let's say 3 mattresses, one on top of the other, or we're going to see other examples, the mere fact that they're sitting on it makes it Tomeh, right? It's true that a person who's a Tomeh Mace, if it sits, it's also Tomeh, but only if it's in contact with the body, not if it's through other things, right? If there's some kind of interruption. The Nida, the Zav, the mere fact they sit in it, even 10 mattresses, it's all Tomeh. Oh, now, that's called Tumas Medres. They're stepping on shoes, as we saw in Pemeisha. They're sitting on a saddle. They're lying on the bed. All these things share a common denominator. It's something to sit on, lie on, stand on. Midras, Mishkav, Moishov, it's all written in Veikra. All these things make the stuff Tomeh underneath. The mere fact that their weight is on it, right? Similar to Evan Misame, but not exactly the same. Okay, now let me tell you something. And this is important to prepare you for the later on the sugya. Tosfos, which I'm not reading inside, I'm sorry. Tosfos says in the previous page, you can look it up yourself later. Tosfos says that the sfina that we're talking about is assumed to be a sfina that carries cargo, that carries material, carries goods. It's not one of these nice boats that you take your little kids to Ashdod or Netanya, where people just sit down and it's meant for sitting down. That boat we're not talking about. What do I mean? If a sfina is meant to be sat on, you just, like they have all these, like benches in the sfina, right? And it's meant to be sitting down, and that's the main thing. If the boat is meant to be sat on, to be sat inside, such a boat is called a medras. It's meant to be for sitting down. It's like a chair, it's like a saddle. It's a kli meyuchad leyeshiva. And then, right? And then even if it's very large and made out of wood, it is, at least according to Hanania, it's mekabel tumah. Why? Because by medras we don't have that rule. Rashi and Tosfos are mechadish here based on a different Gemara. It's machlokes rishonim. I follow Rashi and Tosfos. That rule of the big box, big wooden box, you can carry it when it's full, right? And it's not mekabel tumah b'chlal. That's only true for tumas meis, sheret, that regular. But let's say you have a very big bed. Let's say you have something that's meant to lie on, yeah, to be lied on, a very, very large chair, a king's throne, some very large item that's meant to be sat on. It's mekabel tumas. Which one? Of the medals of the zav. Why? Because zav is not compared. It's a different parsha in the Torah. Just remember that on the side. Don't worry. It's going to come back and will be intertwined very nicely to the rest of the sugya. We're going to learn a lot of beautiful yesodus of tumah v'tara. We just have to, plug in, sit in. What we're going to read now is machlokes, whether it's a question or statement. Does make a big difference, really. Well, Hanania tiltul l'deshvarim shmei tiltul. Let's say it's a statement. According to Hanania, carrying the boat, the box, happens to be the boat. If you carry the big wooden stuff, the big wooden item, yeah, receptacle, you cannot do it. I cannot do it. Even a bodybuilder cannot do it. But who can do it? Only oxen, big animals. They can do it. That's called tiltul. That's called that it's movable, and therefore it's mekabel tumah. Yeah, says the Gemara. Yes, that is so. That is so. Ditnan. Now we're going to see a proof from that from the Mishnah. A lot of yesodus are here. Today's a shir with a lot of yesodus about tumas medras. Shalosh agolos en. The Mishnah says there are 3 types of agolos. When you think about agola, it's an agola, meaning it's like a carriage. a chariot, a carriage. People sit in the back. We usually see it in the stories in a tourist town, yeah, right? Maybe you see it in Ukraine, I don't know. Yeah, you have shalosh agol, three types of carriages, okay? The horses or the oxen, they carry it up front, and the people sit, right? The Poritz and his wife, they sit in the right, and the Jew is the Balagol, all the Hasidic stories. Now, there are three types of pedala de medalef, the second line. That none. Shalosh agol said. Halachically, there are three types of agola vis-a-vis tumah v'tara. Hasuya kekatedra tmea midras, which means a regular agola made out like a cathedra is like it's basically it's like moon shaped. It's like no like a stage. The kids, it's a cathedra you sit on. It's a regular agola that's meant to be sat on. It's meant for people to sit. Then it's metam and medras. Now this follows a very, very, very well-known Yesod, which we saw in Daf Nun Tes also, and the Yesod is as follows. Tumas Medras only applies to Kalim that are meant to be set on or meant to be lied on, which means if I have, imagine yourself, suppose imagine the box of talis, in the behind the beam of the shul, right? Let's say somebody wants to lie there. I don't know if you're allowed to lie down in shul, yeah? And then people say, excuse me, hey, get up. Amoid v'nase melachtenu. You're not supposed to lie there for too long because the door that flips open is where you are lying down. And we need to put the tablecloth and the talis inside. So something that is not meant to be lied on, because if you're lying on the top and the top is meant to be open like that, what? Of the stuff inside, of the airspace. The top part is what opens up, yeah, flips up of the box. And you lying on the box, it's not mekabel tumas ziva. Why? It's because the lotion is asher yishkav yeshem. Something is meant to be there for a long time. Only a bed where you can lie down, or a chair when you're supposed to sit down, and there's no other usage. That's mekabel tumas medras. And therefore, the regular golo, there's nothing underneath. The golo is just meant for people to sit. There's no other function. Not mainly, and therefore it's mekabel tumas zav and koshik and other tumors. So if a zav sits there, it's mekabel tuma. Number two, kemita. Let's say it's made like a bed. That agola, like you have a sleeping carriage in the train, right? That agola is shaped like a bed, meaning a bed with like I told you, I just told you right now. There's a top that may open up and down, and underneath you have all the linen, let's say. You have stuff to be stuffed inside, stored inside, and you are lying on the top, and people can tell you, Amoid, get up, get out of here. We need to fill it with the blankets. Tmeya tomemes. Then it's Tameya tomemes. What does it mean tomemes? Says Rashi. Tomemes is just a synonym for any other tumah that's not medras. If you have the bed, and the bed has a flip open top, and you're supposed to open and close it, and the person lying on it is supposed to really kindly evacuate the place because we need to put in the whatever that is, the stuff that's inside. Therefore, that's not mikabel tumas medras because it says, yeah, asher yeshev, asher yishkav, only something that it's meant to be, that the zav is allowed to lie there for a good time, for a long time. It's not mitame tumas ziva. Otherwise, only tumas meis or sheretz. Tumas meis is just a synonym. It's just an example. Meis, sheretz, nevela, whatever the other ones. Now the third one. So far, there was just a pashto yesod about ziva that we see all over the shas. Third, shel avonim. You have a carriage that doesn't carry people. It carries big stones, big rocks, like today's trucks. Yeah. Now, when you have an agolo that carries big stones in the bottom, it doesn't have to have the bottom full. The bottom is not all stuffed, not all full. It has like a crisscross. It has big holes because the stones are bigger than the holes underneath. Basically, underneath it's like really seriously perforated. The bottom of the agolo, right? Such an agolo. Tehoira miklum. Ooh, it's completely tahor. Why is it completely tahor? I'll tell you why. Because a kli that is so holy, a kli that's full of holes, even one hole that is bigger than a pomegranate. It's a halachal mishum sinai. We're going to see it later in Daf in Daf study in Daf study in the top. If you have a kli that is bigger, the hole is bigger than a pomegranate, it's tahor. The hole is too big and it's a dysfunctional kli. It's not called a kli. We all know that a broken kli is not mekabel tumah, right? If the hole is big, that it's bigger than a pomegranate, it's tahor. Kol sheken, if you have real big, like a crisscross bottom, you have really big holes, so it's completely tahor. What's the diuk? The clear diuk that's screaming to the heavens here. The Amar Rabbi Yochanan, the Amoy Rabbi Yochanan is now teaching us about the third part of the Mishnah. The im yesh ba beis kibul limoinim tmeya. You see what? That if you have a beis kibul, if you really have a beis kibul, let's say you have that speed, excuse me, that agola has, it's all closed underneath, it's all stuffed underneath, and you are able to accept inside a pomegranate, and the holes are smaller than a pomegranate, then it's tmeya. Okay, makes sense. Excuse me, who exactly can carry a agola? It's a big agola that otherwise carries big stones. Unless your name is Superman, you can't really carry, excuse the example, a carriage with your hands, right? Or even a truck. Who can carry it? The oxen, the horses. Bingo, that's what we're looking for. Must be this Mishnah is Hanania. And Hanania is telling us, and maybe Chachamim would agree with Hanania, because that's not a boat. It's an agola. If something can be schlepped with the animals, that is considered metalton olive reckon, even though it's a pretty heavy thing. But it's metalton olive reckon through animals, with the help of the animals, as we say, horsepower. Even today we say horsepower, right? I was a child. I never understood. Well, your parents, what's horsepower? Where are the horses in my father's car? You need horses to schlepp it, right? Kochsus. So then what? Even that's called tmeya because it's called metalton molaberekan. And the assumption again, it's made out of wood. Very good. Usually carriages are made out of wood. It's a carriage made out of wood or any other item made out of wood that's meant to be moved about through with animals. Mazel tov, it's mekabel tumah. And it's tmei meis. What kind of tumah? Tmei meis. Yeah. Okay. Now, okay. Next one. The next piece is already unnecessary, but as the Rishonim point out, it's only mentioned because it's the end of the first Mishnah. But it's going to give us also a lot of good information. Shalosh tevos hen. There are three types of boxes, yeah, and I mean big boxes that are mekabel tumah or not. There are different levels regarding Kabbalah's Tumah. Teva Shapit Chamitzida Tmea Medras. Here we are. Oh, very, very nice. You have a box, right? And you know what? Where does it open? This is the box. This is the side door. The door for the linen, for the whatever, is on the side. Some beds are like that. Imagine yourself a bed. It's a bed with a linen drawer underneath. And it's made very smart that it opens from the side, a big drawer or a flappy thing. Then we can coexist very nicely. Then, of course, it's Tmei Medras, because the Tmei Medras, any person lying there can lie there for 3 days. It's a teenager in the summer. Yeah, it can lie there for a long time, right? And what happens next? A person can open and close the drawer on the side, and nobody says, because it can serve as a bed for infinity. No problem. It's Metame Medras, because it's meant for that. Nobody's going to disturb the sleep of the guy, therefore, of the Zav. Therefore, it's called Tome Medras. It's not called, it is Tome Medras. Good for that. Milemala, Tmei Meis. The one that opens from the top. What happens if the bed opens from the top, right? In other words, yeah, the linen drawer is like that. You have to open the mattress, and then you put in the linen. We tell the guy, hey, mister, get up, please. I'm sorry, because we need to put in the linen. We need to put stuff. Then it's not mikabel tumas medras, because you can't say asher yeshev, asher yishkav. It's not meant for that. That's a rule all the time. So what is it metame? Tmei meis. It doesn't mean only meis. Tmei meis is like ovi. It epitomizes all the other normal tumas. Meis, sheretz, nevela, chule. Yeah, good. Now, here comes big fun. The abba b'mida toira miklum. Abba b'mida, it's very large. It's a very large box made out of wood. Ba b'mida says Rashi like anshe midos. It's something you have to measure. meaning it's really large, and he cannot carry tmah levarekan. Now that's a little bit tricky. Now we all know why tricky. Well, we all know for a long time already. If you have a big box of wood, a big wooden box, it's compared in the Torah to sack, and therefore too big to carry. Only I don't know. People can carry it. Animals can carry it, or they're not meant to carry it. It's meant to stay there. It's a box in the house. No normal human being can carry it. It's really, really heavy. Then mitzad regular tuma, we know it's not mekabel tuma. Why did they say tricky? I'll tell you why. I told you before that when it comes to Ziva, let's say that box is not a box. Let's say this box is a very, very, very big bed. It's a very big bed with an opening inside, inner space for linen, right? And people lie on it. As the Zav lies on it, let's say, okay, and it really can't be moved. Is it still Makabel Tuma? Yes. If it's something, because that rule does not apply to Tumas Ziva. The rule of Mole Verekon, as we said before in Tosfos, we see it now again in Rashi and Tosfos. It's not Mekabel, it's Mekabel Tumas Ziva. Wait, so why did the Gemara say Tahara Miklum? Says Rashi, you know why? We're talking here about a box that opens, that has a mamish, an opening in the top, and the Zav cannot sleep on it. We're talking about a box that's A, very heavy, so it's not Mekabel Tumas Meis or the other Tuma, and the Zav cannot sleep on it because the way to reach the stuff inside the box is from the top. So the Zav cannot put a mattress there and sleep, because every 5 minutes or every 5 days, people tell them, get out of there, we need to use the top part. But as Tosfos says, I'm going to read Tosfos now. Tosfos says, Tosfos time. That is 1, 2, 3, 4. The fourth Tosfos in the page, we're going to read it inside now. Apitcha lemalakai, says Tosfos, you know when it's tar also from Zav, when the petach is from the top and the Zav cannot stay there lying down. The pitcha mitzida, the chazia lemedras. But if you have the opening from the side, that the Zav can stay on top, and in the side you can also put the linen or the whatever, as we said before, when it comes to something that is very heavy, although it's very heavy, if it can't be used for Zav, it's Mekabel Tumas Zav. But Tehoyer Miklum is because it fails both criteria. Mitzad Tumas Meis, Sheretz Nevela, blah, 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 all the other Tumas, it's too big. We all know, Mitaltel Molavareka, it's humongous, who can carry it? It's not even a bodybuilder, leave it alone. It's like a huge, old, European wooden kind of thing. It's there forever, yeah? Even in Pesach, you don't move it, yeah? Mashe'en can, what about Tumas Zav? We don't care about Tumas Zav when it comes to, we don't care about being heavy Tumas Zav. True, that's both Rashi's Merames and Tosfos says Mefurash. We have to say we're talking here about something where the Zav is not supposed to lie down. The Zav is not meant to, because the opening is from the top. So every time people have to put stuff in the box or take stuff out of the box, they're going to tell the Zav, hey, move it, please. Will you please move? Therefore, it's not Mekabel Tuma at all, not from either direction. Now, yeah, it's getting there. Tanu Rabbanon. Now we're coming with another Yesoid. Tanu Rabbanon. Medras Klecheres Toho. Big news, big news, big news. Midras Klecheres Toho. Baruch Hashem. What is Midras Klecheres Toho? Let me explain. Says Rashi. What's Tumas Medras? Even if mitzad maga, mitzad touching, you wouldn't be Tomeh. Many times the Zav, Zava, Nida, you know why? Their tumah is worse because it's emanating from their body, the blood or the Ziva. Therefore, if you have a medras, let's say you have something which you don't touch, but you are not you, Chalila, Zav, Zava, Nida, they sit in it without touching it, still Makabel tumah. What about klicheres? Let's examine klicheres. Look, this is a nice klicheres over here, but it's especially just for that. Now, if this klicheres is, it depends regarding what. In certain things, yeah. If a mace lies on 10 mattresses, only the first one is stolen. Yeah. Now, a klicheres midoraisa is not mikabel tuma migaboy. If this klicheres is touched by a mace and by a sheretz, but whatever you want, even by nida. And it's touched from the outside, nothing doing. It's before Psukim and Rashi in Vayikra and Hosug and Tezayin. If a sheretz, a dead sheretz, is hanging inside the klicheres, it's mekabel tuma. It's only mekabel tuma me'aviroi. only the inner space of the kli cheres is metame. If I was chalila a zav and attached it inside, it's tome. However, what happens if a zav sits on top of it? If tmemes or nevela or sheretz on top, nobody cares. Hey, wait a second. By a zav, we don't care about touching, we care about sitting, the weighing on it. So maybe a zav who sits on a kli cheres is mekabel to maziva? No. That's a chiddush. Midras kli cheres toho. Even if it's meant for medras, it's meant for sitting down, let's say, and there's a hole inside, you touch the hole, it's tome. But if you're just sitting, let's say the zav has a wood, not wooden, he has a cheres chair. He has a nice chair made out of China, made in China, made out of China, yeah? And he sits on it, then it's toho. We're going to see a pasuk later that proves that, okay. Now, which by the way says what? So now what do we know about the Sfina of Cheres? The Sfina of Cheres, what did we say before? According to Hanania, is metame. It's metame, but not a zav, unless the zav touched it inside. Yeah, but if the zav is just sitting on it, yeah, let's say on a surface on top, not mekabel tumah. Now, Rabbi Yossi Oimer, half a Sfina. Rabbi Yossi seems to argue or comment on Tanakama, and he says also a boat. And if you don't understand what it means, you're in good company. My karma, well, what are you talking about? We said Kli Cheres does not receive to Maziva, and then Rabbi Yossi says, what do you mean also a boat? Also what? Omar Rav Zid Achika Omar. Rav Zid is going to explain and break down the brisa for us. Midras Kli Cheres tohor umago'oi tome, which means if you sit on the Kli Cheres, even if it's meant for sitting, it's tohor, because it's still on the outside. Mago, you touch the inside, then it's tame, even as a zav. Okay, like any tame that touches the inside. The sfina shel cheres tmea kechananya. A boat made out of cheres, according to Tanakama, is tame. Why is it tame? Because Hananya said that if you have a kli cheres, a sfinas cheres, because a kli cheres, even when it's very large, it's mekabel tuma, not tumas medros, tumas maga, regular tuma. It's tame, like Hananya. Rabbi Yossi Omer, Afasfina Tehoiro. Rabbi Yossi argues on Tanakama, which represents Hanania, and Rabbi Yossi says, no, a sfina is always pure. No, Cheres, it's made out of styrofoam, I don't know, care. It's always Tehoiro. Kitana Tidan, like our Tana. Basically, what did we say? Very good. Rabbi Yossi holds like our Tana, that a sfina is always tar. And the Tanakama is like Hanania, that a sfina of Cheres is coming. Simple. Frek the Gemara masking for Rav Papa. Rav Papa said it sounds very nice, but there's one word that does make sense. My af. What do you mean also? What do you mean also the sfina is tohora? When he spoke about a sfina, what did we mean? We meant that a sfina is tohor what? If a tmeh mace or a mace or a sheretz touch it, then what? Then it's tohor, right? There was no such case in the Reisha. In the Reisha, we never had the case of something that's tohor if you touch it, because the one thing that was tome was dafka yes tome b'maga, right? We spoke about the zav who sticks his finger inside the cheres, and then we said dafka that it's tome. So what do you mean the sfina is also tohor? No, there's no also tohor because the Reisha never spoke about tohor. It's a guy you would say I want to have some Coke, and I'll say I also want whiskey. No, what do you mean also? You said Coke, I say whiskey. It's not also. So the grammar here does make sense. Elam Rav Pope says Rav Pope, now Rav Pope is going to turn the tables. Whoop! Mamish switch A to B and B to A. Elam Rav Pope, Hachika Omar. This is the real version of the brisa. Is changing the words and the meaning of the brisa. But now it's going to work very well. Midras Klei Cheres Toho. Let's restart from Bereshis Bo. What's Midras Klei Cheres Toho? Says Rashi. You sit on the Kli Cheres, even if it's meant for you to sit on it. And the person is Zav, sits on the Cheres, Toho. Why? As long as Kli Cheres wasn't touched from the inside with the fingers of the Zav or a Sheretz or something, it's Toho. Or with a mace, Tumas mace inside a room of a mace, Toho, it's Toho. Umago'oi Tome, meaning if the Zav or any other Tome touched it inside the airspace of the Kli Tome, that's basics. Now the change is going to happen. Vishal etz. What happens if you have a wooden kli, ben midroso or ben magoy tome? Let's say you have a wooden box of regular size. Now the medras is tome. Let's say you have a wooden box, a wooden bed. that's meant to be slept on, it's tumah. If the person lied on it, even without touching it, even with 5 mattresses, yeah. Magoi, Zav or any tome, touch the cleates, of course it's tome. V'sfina sayarden tehoyro ketana didan. The first Tana of the Brisa we switch over is not Hananya, is like our Tana. He says, you know what is the only one that's Tahar? Is the Sfina Sayarden. What does one have to do with the other? Well, our Tana holds which Sfinas are Torah according to our Tana? The small Sfina, right? Because even though you can carry it on your shoulder or the oxen, I don't care that it's small and portable and made out of wood. That's very good for other items, for boxes, for plates, for whatever. Not for Sfina. Sfina is always Torah. And, says Rashi, the Chiddush is also Cheres. If a Sfina is a huge Sfina made out of Cheres, which otherwise would be Tome, because by Cheres we don't care about size, says Tanakama, holy, holy, holy. A Sfina is always Tahor, and Tanakama is like our Tana. So what did he say? The Kli Cheres is Tahor Megor Tome, Etz is always Tome, the Sfina is always Tahor. Yarden, Cheres, Shmeres, Keres, I don't care, it's all Tahor. Now Rabbi Yossi Omer, Rabbi Yossi says, one second, Af Sfina Tmeya Kechananya. Rabbi Yossi says, no, the Sfina is Tmeya. Which Sfina is Tmeya? Very good. Which Sfina is Tmeya according to Hanania? Which Sfina would say, which Sfina is Tehoira according to Hanania? Two conditions. Very, very big. It can't be even schlepped by animals, and wood, made out of wood. Other than that, the Sfina is Tmeya. If the Sfina can be schlepped into the port with oxen, with horses, then it's called movable enough, even if it's from wood. And what about the Sfina out of Cheres is also Tome. Cheres is not Mikabel Tuma for who? For the Medras? True. Who spoke about Medras and Echanami? Medras is an exception, and Echanami. We're talking here, by the way, the assumption all the time, my friends, as I said before, back then, Sfinas were not made for leisure. That's what Tosfos says and others. The Sfina is assumed to be made for carrying stuff. And Echanami, if the Sfina is from wood, big wooden Sfina, but it's made out for people to sit in, meaning it's made for sitting. Nobody will tell me to get up. You pay the guy in Ashdod or in Netanya and Aria to take you, right, to half an hour for the kids because they ran out of ideas what to do Ben Azman and to drive you crazy. It never happens to anybody, right? I'm just imagining stuff, yeah? So you go and you schlep them on an hour in the sea. If that kind of boat, even if it's huge and wooden, it's Mekabel Tuma because mitzad zav, because it's meant to be sat on for a long time. Nobody will tell you to get up. So then Zav overrules the rule of a big, heavy wooden kli. Bekabel tuma Zav, but not other tumas. We're not talking about it. We're talking about regular sphinas that are meant for real stuff, to carry oranges, gold, guns, whatever, to carry whatever they carry. These things that they carry is a normal sphina, not meant for medras. So therefore, it's not Bekabel any tuma. For the mace, it's too big. And for the Zav, it's not meant for Zav. People tell me, hey, get out of here. We need to store stuff. Tosfos says, although there are sailors who sit there, but it's not meant for them. It's meant for the cargo, and the sailors just accompanying it. It's less chashuv. The Seder. We can maybe review if you have time. Now coming to the easy part. How do you know all this is true? How do you know that this is true? How do you know that the Kli Cheres that was set on by a Zav, even if it's meant to be set on a Zav? You have a china chair. How do you know that it's stored by a Zav if a Zav set on it? Omar Chizkia, the Omar Cho, the Pasuk says, the Isha Sheriga b'mishkovoi. Listen to this. The man that touches the Mishkav, who touches the bed. Makish Mishkovoi loy. We juxtapose the Mishkav, the bed, to him. Who is him? The Zav. Mahu isletar b'mikveh, af mishkovenami isletar b'mikveh. Very good. Just like the Zav has tahara in a mikveh, Tosfos points out it's not exactly true. Can the Zav go to the local mikveh in Rededim? Yes or no? In Shevet HaLevi? No. Hey, Daf Samech Samechal, you got to do Chazor. A Zav can only go to the river, Mississippi, Missouri. A Zav can go to the Nahar Yarden. Why? A Zav can only go to Maim Chaim. A Zav, Zava, right? Nida is a question. Zav is also a question. Zav, male for sure. Only Maim Chaim, right? Okay? And therefore, a Zav can only be to Maim Chaim. Mamish river, natural, not to make them. Ocean, no, not ocean. It has to be flowing. No, no, no. It has to be flowing, not standing. No, ocean, no, no ocean. Dafka river. And therefore, Tesis points out, the comparison is not 100%. Leave that alone now. The etzem, the zav can only, a zav has tahara. So too the bed that the zav lies on should be made out of material that you can take to the mikveh. Can you take cheres to the mikveh if it's tama, it becomes tahar? No, big no. Yeshaver, before Shapasuk. Kli cheres en tahara el b'shvirosa, shvirosa metarosa. Number one rule in tumah v'tahara. We're learning a lot today. A kli cheres kecheres anishbar. We cry in V'nisan toikef. The only thing that metar kli cheres is smash it, at least like a rimon, yeah. And therefore, very good. Therefore, the kli cheres is that type of material is never susceptible b'chlal to receive the tumah of the zav. A zav is only metana that can be taken to mikveh like the zav himself. Because the zav and the mishkav are compared, and the zav and the saddle, and the zav and everything else. But if they're made out of china, made out of cheres, it cannot be taken to mikveh, it's just broken. Mimela, that cheres is never makabel tumah. It stays tar, even if he touches it on top, unless he stuck his hand inside, if it's a receptacle. Rabbi Shmuel Tana, yeah. In the yeshiva of Rabbi Shmuel, they learned it from a different source. From Anida, I told you, zav, Anida, they're all the same mafia. Tana, Kemishkav Nidosa Hiyelo. Yeah, the Nida and her Mishkav are one and the same. Makish Mishkav Allah. We compare the Nida's bed to the Nida herself. Mahi Isla Tahara B'mikveh, just like she can only, obviously, now Nida can go to regular mikveh. We hope so. Yeah. And Nida goes to regular mikveh. Af Mishkav Anami Isla Tahara B'mikveh. So too, the Mishkav, the material, yeah, that she lies on and susceptible to her unique tumah of mishkav, of lying on, is only in a material that can go to mikveh, excluding who? Excluding klicheres, the leis letar b'mikveh. A klicheres, as much as you want, you can take it to mikveh ari, you can take it to the river, you can take it to Beis Hamikdash river. I don't care. It won't help. Nothing doing. Klicheres can only be broken, and that's just. By the way, it's an easy way to remember it. Because the same thing happens to what? Kashrus. You have China, you have klicheres, right? You became from yesterday, right? And you had a lot of basa b'cholov, a lot of tasty cheeseburgers and chazer, lo leinu. What can you do? As far as I know, nothing. Maybe a year later, I don't know. Make her, do you know, right? You can't, there's no tar. Just like physically the molecules get absorbed in the cheres, so too the tumah. I can summarize if you want for 1 minute, but your questions are welcome.
Everybody's like couches and beds and everything are all tumors. How are they going to make it tough?
That's a very, very good question. Very practical. Mashiach is coming soon, I believe, with all the beautiful things that are happening. So I think Mashiach will teach us what to do. Listen, we are doing. No, I'm not passing the buck. Excuse the pun. Chavetz Chaim says you have to learn the halacha, so we're learning as much as we can. But the details, we don't know. I mean, maybe there are mumchim in tumah v'tahara. There are rabbanim in tumah v'tahara. Well, there's a whole group of people learning very seriously the halacha. You can ask them. I believe Mashiach will help us also, but we do our best to learn as much as we can. A lot of these halachas also apply to halacha today. Regarding the cheres, it's not glazed. Regarding, I'm saying, clay goyim that you buy from goyim. You don't have to take it to mikveh. If it's glazed, it's a shayla, but at kliches, it's not glazed. It looks very rustic. You don't have to take it to mikveh. Schuchis, we learned in Daf Tezayin, also Tamim Derabanan. Clay schuchis, you have to take the mikveh, but it's only Derabanan. Let's say you have a kli mateches, you have a metal pot, and you have a kli schuchis, a glass bowl. You do the metal first, and the schuchis later. Because you want to make a bracha d'oraisa and not the Derabanan. You make a bracha on the schuchis alone, but you prefer that. Also for Nida. Yeah, the Nida has a beged that's made out of paper, let's say. So the paper is not the kabel tumah. I'm saying I'm not going to lochas now. These things apply. A lot of tumah v'tar when it comes to Nida, the size, kegris, and all that. Things do apply today too, but Mashiach comes will apply even more. Amen. Sorry, no time for summarizing now. Maybe tomorrow. To see the real tahara, Mashiach will sprinkle on us mayim tehoirim, Bezos Hashem, very, very soon, especially